You are
Hey.
live. You're ready?
Yes, absolutely.
Amazing. So I leave it with you and everyone. I will be back at the end. See you later.
All right. Thank you. Thanks again for having me. It's always a pleasant time to come on Host Week. And for anybody who knows me, I think you know I'll never miss an opportunity to spread some love on air. So today's presentation isn't so much about charging more, but perhaps by the end of the session, you'll understand how you can possibly get to charge for air from $50 to $100 and up to $500, $600, $700. It's not that. Hopefully, by the end of this presentation, too, we're going to have made you see how you can price air in a way that finally makes sense, not just mathematically, but also emotionally, and understanding what the clients pay for. And hopefully, the shift is going to be to stop pricing air as tasks and price them as outcomes. And when you can start to do that, that's when air becomes a lot simpler. So let's just get into it. There you go. So most advisor price air like task. It's a checklist. It's a transaction. It's something we do more than something we deliver. And I sure am guilty of doing that as well when I first started. And then we wonder why it feels hard to sell, why we get ghosted, why there's hesitation, why there's pushback, borderline rejection. And we think it's our pricing all the time. Clients actually don't pay for bookings. I don't think they ever have. At least they don't pay you for booking. The internet's been doing this for a long time, and they do it very well for free. And just a reminder for everyone here, if you have an interest or if you do help your clients with air, there's never a need to actually make a booking. There's plenty of areas along the client journey when it comes to air where you can add value without ever having to do air. And like a prime example is if you have clients that book points and stuff like that. So in our case, we do book the air because of the offer that we have for our clients and to charge the money that we charge for it. We need full control over the ticket. So therefore we do it because it makes sense for our business to do so. The old way has conditioned us that booking equals commission. You do the work and you hope that the airline sends you the commission. And that model has trained most of us to undervalue ourselves. The new way, service comes first, fees are intentional, and you do the work, and the client actually pays you. Commission is a bonus, it's not necessarily a business model. Booking feels replaceable, and service is human. The value that you can provide with air doesn't start at ticketing, it doesn't even go there. It happens with everything before, and it happens when your ticket actually hit the real world. That's when you have the opportunity to show your value. And as I mentioned at the beginning, the real shift is to move from a task-based booking as an agent to a value-based service as an advisor. Same flight, just different roles. So you go from booking to servicing, and you go from an agent to an advisor. Clients actually buy two things at once from you. They buy what they get, and they buy how they're going to feel while you deliver it. So essentially, they buy outcomes. And clients don't necessarily care how you get it done and how long it takes you. They care about what they get. And essentially, what you provide for them is a buffer against chaos, so you absorb some of the volatility that comes with air. You deliver peace of mind to keep the travel as seamless as you possibly can. You lead when it matters most in a very calm way when everything else is chaotic for your clients. And you handle issues before they arrive. How do you sell outcomes? It's pretty easy with a clear air offer. Clarity is what makes value visible and not a menu of tasks. But an offer will do that for you. After all, it's pretty rare you go to a restaurant and it say, hey, we serve food for $19. And you have no idea what kind of cuisine they're serving. You have no idea what's on the menu. You have no idea how much you're going to get if it includes desserts. And I think that when we do air, we're quite, guilty of doing that than domestic $35. And we don't really know where to go from there because we associated the price with an actual booking. And when you have an offer, it does two great things, or it should do two great things. The clients know what they get. So you've set clear expectations, not only for you, but for the client as well. And you know and understand what it is you have to deliver. So now you have defined boundaries in terms of what the scope of your work is. Without an offer, essentially price becomes a conversation. None of us are in the business of selling a number or selling pricing, as a matter of fact. Clients can debate pricing all day long, and they're very good at it. And if you make pricing the focus, you're going to find yourself justifying it and justifying why you're worth it. And as human and as advisor, we're often guilty of that. Same here. We tend to like to talk about us, and we like to tell the clients about what it is we do and how much time it takes us and the expertise that we have and the fam trips we've gone on and the access that we have and all the we, when the client's really is just sitting there just wondering what's in it for me. And ultimately, pricing is never the thing unless you make it the thing. With an offer, you get to sell outcomes. You bypass all this pricing resistance that most of us experience every day. When your positioning is clear and it makes the outcome obvious, your price just becomes the punctuation. It ends the sentence instead of starting a debate. And if you don't provide context for your price and you say domestic $35, trust me, your clients are going to go find context elsewhere with other service providers they've used in the past. And they're going to correlate your price with their service and their value. And most of the time, it's not going to play in your favor. So a bad air offer would look like this. It's very factual. It's very task-based. We do flight booking and support service, and you list everything under the sun about what you're going to do to make a booking. A great offer would sound like this. We make commercial flights feel like a private jet experience. And every bullet underneath would describe a moment of relief. And what you're trying to get across in your offer is one of two things, is to get the client to recall a past experience they've had in the past. So you say you're going to do something and they go, oh my God, last time I went to New York in a snowstorm, my flight got canceled. It sucked. Are you saying you can help with this? Or you can position something so vividly that they can imagine if that was to happen to them, how they would feel, and knowing they don't want to go through that. So that's how you put a very great offer together in order to sell the outcomes. And when you manage to do that, you present the offer, and ultimately at the end, it's, by the way, the investment is $700. And that way, the value and the price, they just match. It's kind of a no-brainer after that. The client's usually already sold before you even list the price. And the value is not only in the work you do. Value includes what you prevent the client from, what you save them from. It's leading them through the experience, the good and the bad, and being there when it matters, and having this calm presence when at time travel in general could be chaotic. And especially if you've worked this past weekend, you understand what clients go through. So the importance of being there clear-headed is massively valuable. And it's essentially how safe the client feels when you're there, when they work with you. So here's an example, and this is not hypothetical. This is read out of our playbook, of our pricing playbook. If somebody comes to us and wants to do a one-off trip and they want to do international business class travel, our fee is $700. Now, the reason why I put that there is because the question I get often is like, Larry, how do I get from charging $100 to $700? I don't see how I could get there. So here's how we define and we got to $700 and how we broke it down for ourselves. So the first $200, let's just play with this. First $200 is the doing part. These are all the tasks that we do to make the booking happen. It's the time that we spend on making a booking happen. Making the research, the recommendation, the actual booking, adding all the passport, everything that needs to have a complete booking. That's $200 out of the $700. The next part, the other $200, is what we're saving the clients from. And that includes our expertise. That includes the years we've been in this business. That includes the training that we've done. That includes the fam trips we've been on. That includes all that has to do with your expertise, wherever you get it from. It also includes the access. It includes access to network that you've built, network that you have through your host agency, network that you have through communities that you perhaps are a part of, masterminds, just general colleagues, access to airline reps. So this is all part of what you can save a clients from just by knowing more than they do. You can detect risk that they possibly wouldn't be able to see, that you'd be able to save them from just because of knowledge and experience that you have. And you have an ability to navigate policies, terms and conditions, what does it mean, and making sure that the clients fully understand what they're purchasing. So now we're $400. The last bit's my favorite, $300. That's for peace of mind. And that's the insurance bit. That's where you assess your own risk for your own business. So the way we look at it is we charge $300 on this first booking. If we extrapolate this to 10 bookings, we've charged $300 for peace of mind for 10 different people. Now, if we use like insurance lingo, how many people do you think are going to put in a claim over 10 bookings? I know some of you are going to say 8, 9, I'm very unlucky. The reality is it's going to be often 0, perhaps 1 on a really bad weekend, 3. You're still ahead. Now make that over 20 bookings, make that over 40 bookings, it's endless. And I think one thing the insurance industry has understood very well and do very well is they're not spending all their time trying to avoid facing disasters. They know they're going to come. They're just bracing themselves, and they're just trying to collect as many premiums as possible to have the biggest war chest so that when it happens, they just deal with it. They never feel like they're undercompensated. They never feel they're working for nothing. And you know what? It sucks to work on a Saturday when you don't have to or you don't want to. But you know what? When you've been compensated fairly, it becomes a no-brainer and something fairly easy to do. And there's still commission. If you book premium cabins, we still see upwards of 10% commissions on business class travel. To us, it's a bonus. But if you take a $700 fee plus 2 commissions of $800 because there's 2 people, that's a pretty nice flight. You can make anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500. And if you work with consolidators that have even better deals, and you can even add a markup to it, you can get to $2,000 per person in terms of the commission that you can take home. So price isn't necessarily always a verdict. It's looked in isolation very often, but it's not supposed to be a verdict over one trip. It's supposed to be the cost average over a run of trips. And if you have a long enough time horizon, you're always going to be ahead. And if you keep pricing tasks, you're going to have a cap. If you do 10 tasks for $100 and you want to get to $200 and you feel you have to do 20 tasks, how are you going to get to 700? You're going to run out of a task to do. You're going to run out of things to say you do in order to justify the price. And when you stay on this task list, you also condition the client to audit the tasks you do. The number of things you do equals the value, because you haven't talked about what they get. You just talk about what it is you do. So how you get from $50 to $100 to $200 to $500, $600, $700 is you sell outcomes. The perceived value that your clients are going to get from working with you. And that's when you blow the ceiling and it becomes exponential. And once the value of what you do is visible in terms of an offer, your price will just stretch naturally without a cap or without a ceiling. So in terms of pricing models, they don't necessarily create value by themselves, like they hold it and they collect the money. But clarity is what does the selling. And to decide which container you're going to use for your business, it's not really down to preference, but it has to do with the business you're going into and the clarity you have around what it is you offer. That's what's going to decide what would be the best price model. So if we go through the option, we've got hourly rate on top. we don't necessarily do hourly rate. We do it when it's something that's out of scope from an offer and something we're not super sure how to do. So we'll just charge hourly. And if we decide to take it on, we'll do the hourly. Flat is probably the most common one, the one that most people are comfortable with. You need one offer, one price point. It's very easy to sell. It's very easy to put together. It's a good entryway. And then you have flat plus a la carte, where you get a bit comfortable and then you realize that you don't just have one type of clients. You may have some clients that maybe have a willingness to pay a bit extra for certain different things. So a la carte, you can upsell them into doing certain services that you may want to deliver. Tiered is amazing, but you need 3 price points and you need 3 separate offers. And having one good offer and one good price point is hard enough. Having 3 is a bit more difficult to manage. But if you manage to do it, it's amazing, because that's where you can have a white whale pricing, your $5,000 thing that you put there and you never anticipate nobody to buy until the day somebody buys it. Then you go, holy shit. And then the second level is just the one that you want to sell the most of. And then the first one is a bit of a downsell. If somebody doesn't want to pay what it is you want to sell, then you've got a catch-all instead of losing a sale. And retainer is what we are into. It's a monthly retainer, and it makes sense for us and our business because we do air and it's pretty recurring. So for our business model, it makes tremendous sense to stick with the retainer model. And when pricing feels scary, if you still have doubts over deciding what price you're going to use or using it with your client, it's not necessarily because the math is wrong, but it's because you're probably trying to judge the system from just a single transaction. And ultimately, the real issue was never air. It's visibility and self-trust. If your clients can't see it or they can't feel it, they are not going to buy it. And pricing ultimately breaks when confidence breaks. Thank you.
Hello. Yeah. I am shocked you ended early.
Me too. I do.
It goes on both sides. I love it. Thank you. I want to share. We don't really have questions so much in the comments, but we have some really great commentary, which has been lovely. From one of our EduSpot sessions yesterday from T. McNeil. She does have a question. Fantastic. Thank you, T. She was saying this is extraordinary information, a game changer to be sure. And that is huge kudos from her. So she's asking everyone else in there what other advisors are charging for domestic and international flights. So, if
I can add anything, on top of that, I highlighted an example that's international business because that's the highest price point we have. Now, this could work for domestic. We actually still separate pricing based on domestic, international, or by cabin class. And I'm like, why do we even do that? Because the reality is the work is the same. For the most part, it's just the risk and the price point is a bit higher or lower depending on what you do. Mm-hmm. But the amount of work is relatively the same. So if you just do domestic travel, this can all apply in the same exact way. It doesn't need to be international. And I didn't want to make it like it needs to be luxury, it needs to be high ticket. It doesn't. You could maybe domestic requires a lesser price, but you could still apply the same logic to domestic.
Yeah, absolutely. We did have a question come in while we were talking about that, which is what exactly am I going to do if someone's flight is canceled due to weather, for example, but everything is booked and I've charged these fees?
What are you going to do? I guess it all depends on what you've offered you were going to do. And I think that's often what that question comes about, is being very unclear about the service you've said you were going to do. If you didn't explain it, then by default, you kind of have to do everything that's expected of you. Mm-hmm. And that opens up a big can of overwhelm for a lot of people. It would for me. But you will find that I have never had a client go, hey, my flight was canceled, I need my refund back. Because chances are you've had a lot of interactions up until that point. You've done a lot of work. You've displayed a lot of value. And if the flight gets canceled and you've charged the price, then, you can leave it there if that's where you end your service. But if you've promised that you were going to help them in time of disaster like that, then you just keep going on and you just find an alternative flight and get them rebooked on the next flight and just monitor them until they get to their destination.
Absolutely. Before I let you go, just because we did have a fun little poll, which was about when it comes to booking air, it's there, but it's not a moneymaker. I feel like I can't make money. I'm a wizard. No debit memos here, or I need more Larry in my life. 61% of our listeners said they need more Larry in their life. So, everyone, Larry is a regular here with us, and I think you all understand why. We absolutely love having him for the educational sessions. Larry, thank you so much. This information was incredible. We've had multiple people say that they're going to come back and watch this later. So thank you so much again for being here and joining us for Host Week.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me again.
Oh, yeah. Come back all the time, please. All right.